All right, guys, in today's video I actually got my friend Paul and we're going to walk through a different Filipino neighborhood than we normally walk through, and we're going to talk a little bit about safety in the Philippines. Stick around. All right, Paul, so we're going to walk through this neighborhood. It's a different neighborhood than what we normally walk through. It's right on the back end of Mactan Newtown as well.
Yeah.
Let me get the camera pointed that way. But anyway, have you ever been, since you've lived here, have you ever felt at any point ever to be in any kind of danger in the Philippines?
No, I really haven't. I just, maybe I'm naive, but I've really never felt unsafe. I feel like the Filipino people, if somebody tried something, they'd actually come and do something about it. Because they seem to like to take care of foreigners and make sure everybody's okay. It's a community. So if you have an outcast in that community trying to do something wrong, it's like the community rallies. I haven't had that happen to me, but it's just the way I feel, and maybe it's just a feeling. I don't know.
Yeah, I've only had one situation where I ever felt, and it wasn't even danger, but this is, hello guys.
They're in danger.
Yeah.
You get on someone's table.
This is a real Filipino neighborhood here. Like even now, like no sense of uneasiness. You do feel more eyes on you than normal when you go through a neighborhood like this. By the way, fresh buko, which is coconut.
Well, I think the reason you get so many eyes is because they're not used to seeing foreigners walking through here, probably, you know?
Right, exactly. But I went through one neighborhood, went through a marketplace when I was in General Santos, so it was heavy Muslim population. And was I in any danger? No, but I just felt a lot of eyes on me, and so I felt, let me stop here for a second. Here, this is where they all play. All the kids, and you can see all the goats out here playing, and the kids.
That's where we live.
Yep, that's where we live, right over there. So, anyway, but here they're playing.
You said you were scared because, no, I think sometimes it's also the shock of not knowing that culture.
Yeah.
And not knowing how people react, so you feel insecure. Maybe not that you're not safe, but you're insecure about what to do.
Yeah, I just felt uneasy with all the eyes on me. It was almost too much staring at me, you know. There's a point, you know, you get used to people looking at you here in the Philippines, but sometimes they really, like if you're in a place where they never see a foreigner usually, then they really kind of stare at you a bit harder. So at this time of night, when they all come out and all the vendors come out and start to sell street food. By the way, here's a place where I bought a motorcycle helmet right up here.
Oh, here?
Yeah. It's,
oh, that had sunglasses and everything, right?
Melty, yeah, second HJC helmets.
Oh, wow.
The ATM here. And here's a little coffee shop here too. Kind of a neighborhood that we've been through it, or you've been through it a couple times, but
just driven through.
Driven through, yeah. But a lot of construction, but
there's a lot of this in the Philippines as well, like half-finished projects.
Yes, that never get completed.
And it's for sale. Basically, what happened is they ran out of money.
Yeah.
Or there's some type of litigation. Like somebody says, that's my part of land or something. So.
And you see they live all the way up to the condos, basically. Yep. So back to safety, some things that I have thought about, and honestly, one of the biggest dangers is being around a bunch of other drunk expats who cause problems. And by association, all of a sudden you're mixed up with them, you know. And so for me, I guess you could take this information and really apply it anywhere around, but here especially, you don't want to be involved where there's...
In Negros, I was at a pastry shop, and behind that pastry shop is a bar.
Yeah.
And this foreigner,
Hello. Hello.
this foreigner got into
Hello.
this foreigner got into his car
Yeah.
and drunk as hell, and he bumped like 3 things trying to get out, and he tried to reverse and he bumped a scooter, and then he was gonna try to drive out onto the national highway, which you've lived there and you know
Yeah.
how bad and congested that can be.
Right.
I got really pissed. I jumped out of my seat, smashed on his hood and stopped him and took the keys, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I told someone to call the police.
More goats.
But yeah, they didn't call the police, but they got him home on a trike, and all ended well. But
Yeah.
you know, this is some of the foreigners here, man. They're gonna drunk. I mean, he
Yeah.
wasn't just like tipsy. I mean, he was majorly drunk,
Right.
trying to drive home, and he would probably have killed someone, injured someone.
So things like that, avoiding a bunch of drunk expats, and then they let their mouths run a little bit,
Yep.
and kind of gives the rest of us a bad name.
Not only that, but if you're close to them,
You could
and
be
some Filipinos get insulted, you know what? You might not have said anything, but by association, you're
Right.
part of them, you know, so you could be in trouble.
exactly. And I would also caution against going to an all Filipino bar.
Yep.
Another thing is just avoiding all Filipino bars. I found like if you're just completely alone or hanging out with another foreigner, probably not a good idea. Now maybe if you're with a group of Filipinos, it's not a bad thing. But
No, I've never done it because I'm not, you know, I don't really drink. I mean, I'll have a glass of beer or a bottle of beer or a glass of wine once in a while. So I've really never been in that situation, so I can't really comment on it. But I've heard the same,
right.
but I've never been in that situation. So,
Yeah, I think what can happen is you get a drunk Filipino who says, "Hey, buy me a drink," or something like that, and you refuse or something.
then he loses face.
Loses-
That's the worst thing that can happen.
You embarrass him in front of all his friends or something.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, you're better off just buying the beer and then leaving the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like seeing someone's gonna hit me.
Yeah.
There's
Well-
no way around hitting me sometimes.
And in the Philippines, they can come in any direction, though. But
So yeah, and another thing is that Filipinos don't tend to express how they feel because they're very
Mhm.
careful about what they say. They're not like us in the U.S. like we'll say exactly what we mean. And I think sometimes when people get drunk and they've kind of bottled up stuff, maybe they say it out loud and then
right.
people get insulted. I mean, every time you hear, not every time, but almost every time you hear about killings or shootings is when people have been drunk, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's a contract killing.
I would also say avoid flashy jewelry. You don't leave your
Oh, yeah.
jewelry at home. We know a guy who's got all these watches and he wears gold chain. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
And he's got the nice watch on. He's got the necklace, and it's like, you know, in the West that might be fine, but here it's not really a good idea.
Not only that, but even if you don't get robbed, even if, I mean, you're putting stuff like that in people's faces.
Right.
Like that gold chain could have probably fed a whole family for a year, you know?
Right.
Just wearing it like nothing. There's no need to rub your riches into people's faces, you know?
I agree. Look at all the street vendors that come out and the little places selling chicken and yeah. They're all buying all their little tricycles and
Do you want to go back and try that coffee shop, or do you want to just...
yeah, you want to?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe something different, right?
Sure.
Let's just go on.
Yeah. Let's go on. What? Yeah. The problem with that, with the fried chicken on the street here, is usually the oil.
Yeah.
It's probably been used
10,000 times.
10,000 times. And I get it. They're trying to sell it for dirt cheap.
Trying to make a profit.
And make a profit, and changing out the oil as frequently as they should is not going to happen, probably.
It's almost like you should buy a jug of oil for them. Here.
Right.
Use this and make some good chicken.
Yeah.
But it's fun once in a while. It's
Sure.
not healthy, you know. It's fun.
Yeah.
Also, you know, you have a good Filipino if you ask her where you want to go eat, and she says street food.
Yes.
You'll spend about $2.
Yeah. But even Filipinos, they are some places they don't feel comfortable eating.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they do look to see if it's somewhat clean or not too. So I've known a lot of Filipinos who refuse to eat at certain street food vendors.
Mm. Well, there is. I mean,
How about living in a neighborhood? Do you feel more? You ever live in an all Filipino neighborhood?
no, I couldn't. But that's got nothing to do with security. That's something to do with the noise level.
It's the noise level, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hello. What did he say? Wow. That's jeez. Christ. Flashback.
You know, I even know Filipinos
Mhm.
that have gone to the West and come
Mhm.
back, and they're like, oh my God, they're so noisy and everything. It's just, I think if you grow up with all the noise, you're just so used to it.
You get used to it, yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Mhm.
When I grew up partially in Egypt,
Yep.
and our apartment was right beside the main road.
Right.
So there was always this honking, noise, and cars.
Mhm.
And me and my ex were in Bacolod, you know,
Yeah.
prior to the pandemic, and and it was right outside the road.
Uh-huh.
Also, we didn't realize it when we booked it.
Hello.
Airbnb, and I slept like a baby. She was so surprised. Like, how could you sleep through that so easily? Usually I wake up like that when there's noise.
Yeah.
So it's really what you're used to.
Now this particular neighborhood, not dangerous at all, but not the safest as far as there's not really any sidewalks. And there's not, but it doesn't stop them from walking. Now I've lived in an all Filipino neighborhood, and yeah, I could hear karaoke, and it was always a noise factor. And it's something you really got to get used to. But as far as safety, I never had a problem with safety. I was in Dumaguete actually. I lived 2 months at this location when I first got there. Me and my friend rented out an Airbnb for 2 months. And it was an all Filipino neighborhood. Totally safe. And you notice a lot of these places will have gates like this here.
Yeah.
And you look at the place, it's really not a bad place. But the street noise would just drive you nuts.
Dogs barking, the roosters.
Yeah. So.
That's one of the nicest things when I moved to the condo.
Always one church in every location.
That first night in that condo, slept like a baby.
Oh yeah.
So quiet, no noise, no dogs, no roosters.
Yep. It's that's the meat shop, and then there's a coffee shop, which like a coffee milk tea type place. And and a lot of the construction workers all head in this direction.
Yeah.
And you know, the funny thing is, if you're ever in an area where it might be a little bit dangerous or you shouldn't be at, surprisingly, a lot of Filipinos will actually tell you.
Yeah,
say, hey, you need to be careful. Or I had a Filipino tell me in a neighborhood one time, they said, hey, you probably shouldn't be in this area. And I was like, oh, okay.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Okay, guys, we stopped at this little milk tea and coffee shop here in the neighborhood and just trying something new. We're trying a coconut milk tea, no sugar, and then we'll walk back and call it a day. I'll go ahead and turn the camera on at night. It'll be a little bit darker just to show you the neighborhood as well, see how it's lit up. But this is pretty much a Filipino neighborhood. You don't really see foreigners walking in this area.
Haven't seen one.
And you definitely see the kids. The adults don't seem to care that much. It seems like the kids are the ones who are like really the curious ones. But
they gotta practice their English, even their swearing words. Did you hear what the one kid said?
Yeah. We had a kid practice some English.
F-U-M-F. That was his English.
Yeah.
F-U-M-F.
Good English.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'll turn the camera back on when we walk back. All right, we just finished our milk tea, and now we're walking back, and now it's a little bit darker. Let's follow the goats.
Yeah. They'll guide us.
Come on, kids. Watch out for this vehicle. There we go. All right, see, nighttime and kids are still out playing and goats are roaming around and lots of trash. This is one thing you do notice in neighborhoods like this. Lots of trash. Yeah, so this is kind of when Filipino neighborhoods actually kind of come to life, is right around this time. You notice all the people out.
And they start making food.
Start making all the food because people are getting out of work, they're coming home, and they buy all the food at the street vendors.
Some people are out exercising.
Oh, hello. A little kid said, hello, Joe, which is very common here. That's the name you hear a lot. See, here we go. We got all the.
You worried if you heard hello, Gio?
Yeah, if they said my name, I'd be a little worried. Yeah.
Hey, Gio.
Slowly walk.
Now they have lots of these bakeries everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of bakeries.
But it's
So.
nothing like the bread we are used to. It's very light in content.
Yes, it is,
You
and
could probably eat 5 loaves and still not be a bit exaggerated.
but
you know what I mean?
extremely sweet. Lots of sugar.
Lots of sugar, yeah.
Lots of sugar.
Because sugar is cheap, right?
Sugar's cheap here.
So
Anyway, guys, that's been our video on safety. I know we kind of strayed off topic a little bit, but really the point was to kind of show you through a Filipino neighborhood, which really doesn't get foreigners walking through it. How really relatively safe it really is. So anyway, any last comments?
no, it's safe here in the Philippines.
Safe.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Actually, it's much safer here than in the US, I feel.
I agree. So anyway, see you guys next time. Bye.